Hey guys, wanted to check in tonight and have a conversation with you to honor a friend from my childhood who we lost earlier this week, Charles Bulldog Garnett. Most everyone knew him as Bulldog. In fact, that was his persona, and I don't think if you ask a lot of people what was his real name, we would even know. Everyone knew him as Bulldog. Unfortunately, we lost him at a pretty young age of 56 to heart failure, our number one cause of death, unfortunately, in America right now. So pretty sad from that regard. But I wanted to look at Bulldog's life and explore 3 lessons that he taught us and that we can take away from his time here on earth with us. So we're going to dive into that. I want to first tell you who Bulldog was and his role in my life. And so I actually really hadn't seen or talked to Bulldog in probably 14 years maybe, since I've moved a couple of hours away. But Bulldog was a gentleman who was a huge part of the community that I grew up in and served in the church as well. And he was well known for, I'm going to talk kind of details about his personality, but he was well known for having a fireworks stand in the middle of town and like the town center, and then also being a great cook and having a barbecue stand. And then he was just an amazing person with a huge heart of service. And so that was a role he played in my life as someone who was a youth leader in our church, in the church that I first became a part of, and that I was introduced to the faith, and then ultimately became baptized and started my relationship with God at First Baptist Church of Paris. And so Bulldog at the time was serving there, and it took a couple of years actually for me to be talked into going on a mission trip, but ultimately I went on 3 different MFuge mission trips, and those ended up being some of the most amazing times of my life. These week-long mission trips to the South where we just did this incredible work and we all came together, and it was a really incredible time for God, and Bulldog was always a part of that. So he would drive us on our mission trips to our destination, and then he would serve alongside us, but he would be like the resident comedian, and like just it made the trip so much more entertaining to have Bulldog at the helm or in the driver's seat. And so like Bulldog as well in the community, most of his life he spent like as a chauffeur as well. He as a bus driver, he drove bus for multiple school districts, and I never had him as a bus driver, but I can only imagine just because of the experience of him driving the church van, pulling up to the bus stop every day. Like I would think that having Bulldog as your bus driver would have been just this incredible experience. I probably would have made getting up and getting ready for school a lot more exciting. And I'm going to kind of tell you why. I'm break it down. I really remember Bulldog most from like 2002 or 3 to maybe like 2006. Because that was that time, right around the time that I graduated high school, it was early in college, and I was going on the MFuge mission trips. And he, like I said, was a part of that as a really integral part of leading our youth program. It was a small church, I'm from a really small community. Some of you on here know who I'm talking about, Bulldog. Some of you I've met since that time in my life from all across the world, and you don't. But I grew up in a town of around, actually, 1,584 people. When I was there, sadly, I think it's dropped a lot, but really small community and a close-knit small Baptist church with some incredible people, and Bulldog was a part of that. And so we went 3 different summers. We went to Charleston, South Carolina, we went to Nashville and stayed at Belmont, and then we went to Mobile, Alabama, and served on these MFuge mission trips, which, by the way, I'm drinking from my MFuge cup that I just found recently, honestly, like a month ago. So this thing's a relic, holding on to that. But that's exciting. And he also, Bulldog, I remember the times I was at church camp, he served as like, he was a chef, right? So he was an amazing cook. And he put so much heart and energy into the work that he did, whether that was driving us or like unloading our stuff or serving alongside us on the mission trips or preparing the meals at church camp. Like or driving a bus. These things that maybe a lot of people wouldn't get that excited about. Bulldog just had so much pride and enthusiasm about some of this, maybe the simplest task. He knew that he could bring light and life to those situations. And so let's let's look at these three lessons that I came up with that I feel like Bulldog really taught us in his 56 years. He almost 57. I think he had a birthday coming up like next week. So, but it's tragic and unfortunate regardless at such a young age. The three lessons that we can learn from Bulldog's time here on earth. Number one is live exuberantly. And when I try to think of a word for Bulldog, honestly, this word just came to mind automatically. I was like, let me just look it up and check, make sure it really aligns with who Bulldog was. And amazingly, like, it was spot on, right? So live exuberantly is the first lesson I feel like Bulldog taught us. And so the word exuberant or exuberantly is characterized by lively energy, excitement, and then unrestrained and elaborate, especially in style, which is perfect because Bulldog was all about being like flashy. He had this larger than life personality and this unique persona as Bulldog community. There's not a lot of people who can just go by a nickname for their entire life and everyone in the community knows him. He was that kind of guy. So Bulldog, in being elaborate and unrestrained in his style, would always rock bright colors, tie-dye, neon, like bright orange, and I'm not really sure what his favorite color was, but it was you were never gonna like lose him in a crowd. I remember on the mission trips, he really had like this signature look. He always had these really amazing sunglasses that like you're like, where did you find those? So I remember he had the sunglasses they were like Transformers. I'm not really sure how to describe it. Sunglasses that came down and they actually went back over his head. Like they didn't go back around the side of over his ears. They came down and then they went over his head, and like, so he would like lift them off and like try to be like intimidating and comical about it. And so the sunglasses were a huge part of who Bulldog was. And he always looked, like I said, for the unique types of sunglasses that really would align with his larger than life personality, and the bright colors, and then I guess I would say like the biker beard, which you never knew what color he was going to have it dyed. I know sometimes he let people braid his beard. So there was so much, like when I think about Bulldog, you think he was a big dude, and bald head, biker beard, wild sunglasses. Like there's all these characteristics that were part of who he was, and that made him unique, and that he was proud of. And like, so I think it's cool because with each of these three lessons, I came up with or looked up a Bible verse I felt like was fitting. And, for this one, some of these just kind of came right to mind when I was thinking about it. For this one, for Bulldog, living exuberantly, I automatically thought not conforming. He was not about conforming. And so, there, in Romans 12, it says, do not conform to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, maybe not conforming a little bit different with Bulldog, basically saying like, I'm gonna dress how I want, and I'm gonna live how I want, and I'm gonna serve, and I'm gonna make a difference. And he really kind of led an untraditional life. Apparently, I need a plug in. There we go. So, I think that's awesome, and that really made him stand apart. So one thing, so I'm also going to tell you a little story to exemplify each of these. So the story about living exuberantly is that on our mission trip when we were in Mobile, we would stay in these dorms on these college campuses, right? And we were sharing this floor with these guys, these boys from Mississippi who were anywhere from probably 12 to like 16, 17. And Bulldog was on our floor, and so he was always like the life of the party. And after hours, we would have a lot of fun, until curfew, probably past it. Bulldog maybe was about breaking some rules there. But I remember that, he's such a, and I don't want to get too far in the next one, but he's a sarcastic, joking guy, and just being a big guy with like sort of this intimidating look, to be honest. Like, and he would sort of put up this front because he kind of make you think he was being really serious. So these guys from Mississippi, were convinced that Bulldog was a professional wrestler. And I remember them coming up to me at one point and they were like, hey, is Bulldog like a pro wrestler or something, or some like biker dude? Like they were trying to figure him out, you know? And it's funny because like I think people looked at Bulldog that didn't know him, like on our travels, and they were trying to figure him out. Like, who is this guy? Like, there's got to be some story behind this, like this theatrical look or whatever. And there really wasn't. That I think that might be the beauty of it, is he wasn't a professional wrestler. Like he wasn't some biker. This was just Bulldog and his larger than life personality. But it was funny because it didn't take much convincing. Sometimes you really didn't have to do much of anything to really make people's imaginations run wild. And I think that's really cool part of who he was too. So number 2 lesson that we can learn from Bulldog is don't take life too seriously, right? And so I think that he very much lived that whole aspect of like he didn't. I don't feel like he really worried a lot. Like he could solve problems day to day, and he just really tried to have fun and enjoy every moment. And I think he was able to do that. You know, like he was. I feel like the time I knew him, he was always in a good mood. He could laugh about things that went wrong, or he just was a really optimistic, resilient person. And like I said, I think about sarcasm. I know, like one thing about Bulldog I remember is there's not a lot of people who can really like get in your face almost and roast you and just like take jabs at you or pick on you and make fun of you, and without you getting like super frustrated, right? But something about Bulldog, like he could just like push your buttons just enough, but then right about the point, like you think like is he really serious, or like you start to get frustrated. He'd be like, you know, come on man, you know, I'm just joking, I'm just messing with you. And then he would like, I don't know, give you a big bear hug shove or something, and like just it was like impossible to actually be mad at him. But he had this way of like picking on you, and then you would like it. And so I think that's unique in someone's personality, and Bulldog had that. Being super creative as well, as far as like not taking life too seriously. You know, in the verse for this one, I think about the fact that I think he knew that life on earth is only temporary, and that it would be senseless to spend time worrying about things that are trivial. And, you know, for this is very simple, but the verse from James 4:14, it says, your life is like a mist, right? It appears for a short time and then it vanishes. So it's our lives on earth are merely a moment in the glimpse of eternity, right? And so even in Bulldog's 56 years, he knew that his days were numbered, and I think he knew like there's no reason to fret over really much of anything in life, but certainly trivial matters. And so I like that, you know, Bulldog reminding us not to take life too seriously. So that's the number 2 lesson. Oh, and then so story for that one. I remember I would go to the fireworks stand, and he would, like I said, he would always like try just pick on me and like try to like, I don't know, he would try to like get me to folly or mess up, and he would ask me to do something. I'm like, I don't really understand like with fireworks. And so I was like, well, I'm not really sure what you're in. And he was like, he's like, what are we gonna do with you? And then he would go, he had this thing, he would always say, he goes, buy your books and buy your books, and what do? Tear the pages out and eat the covers. And like, I don't know why, but I never heard anyone else say that. And I still don't like, what does it even mean? And as a kid, of course, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Bulldog. But he always said that. And I was like his go-to line when he was giving me a hard time. Buy your books and buy your books. What do? Tear the pages out and eat the covers. All right, so number 3 lesson that we can learn from Bulldog. Serve tirelessly, okay? So serve faithfully, tirelessly. And this is where it comes back to the mission trips. And really, I think even Bulldog's health, you know, and it kind of, I'm going to get to that in a moment. But, you know, I think about the mission trips, and I just feel like Bulldog wouldn't hesitate to drive all night and just like, push through the fatigue to get us where we need to get to go. Like, I don't know if there was anything like that would come up that he would back down from, right? Or a problem that would arise, whether it be us as First Baptist Church of Paris or another group that we never know. Gosh, I think I remember, well, back then we did this a little more often than now, but like if someone was broken down inside of, I am almost certain that we like pulled over the church van to help some stranded motorist, because Bulldog, was adamant that we needed to do this. And we were probably kind of concerned as teenagers, like, what are we doing? But in hindsight, you don't really think about it. I'm not really sure we had anything to worry about, because you looked at Bulldog, the sunglasses, biker beard, like bald head, probably going to be more intimidating than anybody that is broken down on the side of the road. So, but that heart of service and the attitude of servanthood, like showing through not just assigned missions, but just everyday opportunities to serve God and to serve others and to be of help and value to humanity. And I saw Bulldog do that time and time again, really without hesitance. I think about his fireworks stand, and then later too, I think he had the barbecue stand there in conjunction with that. And I'm pretty sure there were probably times where Bulldog didn't make a whole lot of money, because I feel like he was always giving away some fireworks. Like, he was always just making these impromptu, like, buy one, get 27 free deals. That if you were some kid in the community, like if a kid came to buy fireworks, like, and didn't have the resources, Bulldog was going to make sure that kid got some fireworks, even if it was at his own expense, right? That was just kind of person he was. That was just his heart. And so I remember too, like when he was at the church camp cooking, him making these runs to town for supplies, like driving super fast. I think I rode with him one time, and I was like probably praying the whole way, because this man was driving so fast. I guess we had to get back or something, but I just remember being like, Bulldog, you are crazy driving like this. But we were on a mission to get to town, get supplies, and get back to church camp. And so while he didn't take a lot of things in life seriously, he didn't worry. He took his responsibilities very serious, in that they were really important to him, whether it was driving a bus or preparing meals at church camp or helping total strangers along the road in another state while we were on our way to our mission trips. Okay, and then like I said, I had an opportunity to serve a lot alongside him on the mission sites at MFuge. But I think so much of what Bulldog did for humanity wasn't even, like I said, in an assigned mission setting. It was just opportunities presented themselves, and Bulldog just stepped up and said, "This is a chance to serve someone, and I'm going to do it." And so he did that. And so the verse for that one is from 1 Peter 4:10, and it's one that says, "As each of us has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's grace," right? And I actually just talked about that the other day. Some of us, I don't think we feel like we have a whole lot to offer the world, but I really believe that everyone has some unique gift, something to share. And, Bulldog recognized how he could capitalize off of his gifts. He recognized, first of all, that his exuberant, bright, flashy personality, it drew people in. So he had a platform, because just his presence alone would draw people in. And so that was an opportunity for him that most people didn't have, because we didn't have this unique, like Bulldog could step off the church van and get looks, because like I said, sunglasses, biker beard, bald head, probably like color, like some tie-dye thing. He drew people in, and he wasn't afraid to do that. And then by doing so, it allowed him an opportunity to share the gospel and to serve others, and he used this as a platform. So I think, first of all, he saw that, his personality was a way to serve others, okay? But also the fact that, he had a passion for cooking, so, through barbecue, and then his just desire to serve. Like, he just put all of those things up front and said, I'm going to use this. This is how I'm going to live my life, and as a bus driver, I'm going to use my super personality to bring joy into the kids of or the lives of kids each day. And so that's his way of serving, his way of using his gifts to serve others and to get the most out of life. And I think that that's something he did really well. And now thinking back, I was, after I heard that he had passed away and that he'd been having some health troubles, and understanding, what was going on, it made me think back to a time on our mission trips. And as I mentioned earlier, as one of the guys in the group, I got to see Bulldog behind the scenes sometimes. And so there would be times in the dorm. So I kind of remember like this. Bulldog would usually get up before us to get things ready, and he would go eat his breakfast, and he would kind of go ahead of us to prepare for the day. And then he would go out and he would serve all day. And these are a lot of times very physical, laborious situations. And then we would come back at night, and it was a lot of go. We were on the move a lot, and he would push it. And I remember sometimes back in the dorm at 10, 11 o'clock at night, at the close of a 14-hour day of being on the go, that Bulldog would, you could tell that he had pushed it to the limit and maybe past. And I remember one time, because his legs would swell up, and I remember one time he dropped the trailer hitch on his like shin, and it was bleeding or swelling, and he had like this deep laceration, and so he kind of was just trying to shake it off. And I remember thinking, as a teenage kid, I was like, man, this doesn't seem okay. Like, is he all right? And and now I know he wasn't. Like, he was in a lot of pain, and it was a situation where he probably should have tended to it. But what I saw was, I think Bulldog's heart to serve and to press on, push through adversity, was bigger than any physical pain that he could have experienced. And I don't know why I just go back to this one moment, but I always think that, like, witnessing that, because he had that injury, and I saw I was helping him, probably not doing a good job of helping him, but obviously since he injured himself. But I just remember that, like, he wanted to press on and continue to serve, and he didn't make it about the struggle that he was going through. And there were just other times that, I think I understand better now in hindsight, and especially someone who is now in functional medicine, and I have an understanding of chronic illnesses. When, at the time, as a 17, 18-year-old kid, I didn't really understand, and I didn't grasp the working mechanisms of diabetes, and I didn't really understand what, the type 2 situation and all the risk and the complications and the challenges that he was facing, and just other chronic health issues that were burdening Bulldog, that I think I kind of like got a glimpse of. I just remember being kind of concerned, but just thinking, man, like, I guess it's not that bad. He just keeps pushing, he just keeps serving. And so now I as I think back about it, I feel like, his life being cut short, about 20 years less than the average lifespan that we have now. And I think he's pushed so hard. And I lost a friend Teresa Scott a couple years ago at the age of 59, and I remember thinking, like, she had quite a few years to go in terms of, achieving an average lifespan, and but at the same time, I remember from her, like, she got so much out of her 59 years that did it really matter? Like, did she need more time, or did she manage to live so much life in 59 years that it would exceed anything that most people who reach 90 years can do? And I wonder if the same couldn't be said for Bulldog. The fact that he had so much energy and enthusiasm for life, and then he went and gave so much with such a resilient and just like this whole attitude of like go. Like I just remember him and I don't know if he still drove, but him and his like red Chevy truck zooming around from one thing to the next, taking care of people. And it can take a toll on you, but at the same time, if you're serving and selfless and giving of your heart and your abilities and your gifts constantly in the time that you are here on earth, and you're living in each moment, because it said, like, all we're really ever guaranteed is this very moment, right? And every moment is fleeting, so we just got to be present now. And I think Bulldog, he did a good job of finding a way to make a difference in each and every moment. And I think, as I kind of understand now, he a lot of times was probably suffering behind the scenes, in pain and struggling, but he wasn't going to let that slow him down from showing his enormous heart and desire to serve others. And so I think that that's important, serving tirelessly, serving painlessly almost. I'm not sure if this is the word, but just say, like, to the point where it's more important for you to make a difference in the lives of others and encouraging and brightening the lives of others, that you're willing to look past your own pain and struggles and say, I will serve till the day that I die, knowing that I gave my all and that I used my gifts for the good of humanity. And so I kind of was able to see that in Bulldog's life. Like I said, I haven't really had opportunity to be around him, or I shouldn't say that. I could have made the effort and driven a couple of hours, but I hadn't been around him for over a decade. And so my hope is that the people that were able to be a part of his life after I had an opportunity to there for that 3 or 4 years intensely, I hope that they also were able to witness the same person that I was, and the same attitude of service that Bulldog exemplified, and that these 3 lessons really shined in their lives too. But I just want to be able to remember when we think about Bulldog in the 56 years that he shared with us here on earth, that he taught us, number one, to live exuberantly, enthusiasm, energy, passion for serving, a desire to take on challenges, and the willingness and eagerness to not conform, but just to be ourselves and to be vibrant and shine a light in people's lives. So live exuberantly. Number 2, to not take life too seriously, to not live in anxiety and worry, but to be able to laugh, to joke, to really encourage others and use your humor or whatever gifts you have to do that. And then number 3, to serve tirelessly, to have an undying desire to serve God, to use your gifts to bring value to the lives of others. And so I just really pray and hope that we all can live on with some of those same traits and understand that legacy that Bulldog left us. And each time that we lose someone who we had an opportunity, a privilege to share our time with on this earth, I would hope that we would be able to look at their lives and recognize some lessons that we can take away for ourselves. And sometimes maybe it's what not to do. And that might be unfortunate, but we want to try to learn from people. But I think I want to believe that everyone, regardless of reputation, has something to offer us and has some positive qualities to bring away. And so these three really stand out to me. And I'm really grateful for the time that I had to know and got to spend with Bulldog, especially serving. I'm really incredibly thankful for the opportunity to go along on those MFuge mission trips. I was invited a couple of times, at least once, maybe twice, and didn't go. And I strictly want to say it was out of fear, understanding the working mechanism of fear more now, and being in mental health, and just seeing the role that played in holding me back in a lot of areas of my life. I really do think that fear kept me from going on MFuge the first couple of years. But I'm grateful, and I want to say thank you not only to Bulldog, but to Mark Carter. Pretty sure he was the youth pastor at the time at my church, coming to my house and prodding me a little bit to go on this mission trip, these MFuge mission trips, because they were really, truly transformative. And, I was baptized at an earlier time, but I always said I recognized that the MFuge mission trips were really the first step for me to make a progress in my relationship with God, to really begin to grow. And so, Mark Carter and Bulldog were really pivotal roles in that, and I'll be forever grateful. And I think about all the amazing memories that I have with some of my best friends, people that I graduated with. And honestly, I don't remember a whole lot of things from high school memories. I very clearly remember some of the memories from the MFuge mission trips with people that I really respect. And it's just an entirely different level of experience when you get to serve along people in the mission field. And so, like I said, I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity to serve alongside Bulldog. And I like to believe that this picture is still there, but at a certain point, there was a picture of Bulldog, and this is going to be really hard to see. So we went to this restaurant there. We went to this restaurant in Gulf Shores when we served in Mobile, and they had all these photos on the wall of celebrities, and then just some regular Joe customers, I think, that had eaten there. But people sent their pictures in, and they signed their pictures. They had this race car out front that you could take your picture with, the number 28 Havoline car, right? And so this was probably 2005 or 6. And we took these photos, and trying to hold this up here, you can see Bulldog here next to this race car. And so I followed through, as probably only I would do in my weirdness, went home and printed off these photos, 8x10s of us, and with this race car, because the owner said, hey, print those off and sign them and send them back to me. So I followed through with that, and I took this picture to Bulldog and said, hey, sign this. So he wrote on there to Tom, who was evidently the owner. Unfortunately, I do not remember the name of the restaurant. It says, Tom, had a great time. Food was awesome. Thanks, and God bless. Bulldog, Paris, Missouri. And so I went back the following, later that summer, the following year, back to the restaurant, delivered the photo, and or actually maybe I think I mailed it, because clearly it's hanging on the wall here, but took this picture of it hanging on the wall. So Bulldog's autograph photo was hanging on the wall of this restaurant in Gulf Shores at that time. The other day when I heard he passed, and I knew that I thought of that photo, I tried to Google or try to look up the restaurant, and I just couldn't figure it out, and I'm not sure it's still there. A lot of things change in 15 years, but I would like to believe that there's still a photo of Bulldog next to a race car, signed by him, it's tagged with Paris Mo on there, hanging in a restaurant in Gulf Shores or Foley, Alabama. And you know what? Even if there's not, I'm going to feel a little bit better believing there is, because he wanted to make his mark anywhere he could, and I thought that was pretty awesome. But I just want to take time to pray as well. But like I said, I hope that Bulldog was as encouraging in your life as he was mine, and that we can all live lives that are exuberant and refuse to conform, and that we have such a burning desire to serve the Lord and to serve others and use our own unique gifts. So I'll take time here. I'm going to pray quickly to remember Bulldog and give thanks for his time in our lives. Our Heavenly Father, I just come to you now. I thank you for the time that we had to share with Bulldog here on earth, and the tremendous impact that he had on so many of us with his larger-than-life personality. Thank you, God, that you put that giant heart and for service in him, and that unique personality of being flashy and having a way to bring joy to other people and be an encouragement. And thank you that Bulldog understood his gifts and that he was eager to use them to serve others. And God, each time that we lose someone, especially that's a little bit younger, that we think, gosh, if only we'd have more time. It's unfortunate that we lost him so soon. You know, God, remind us each moment is fleeting, that we're not worthy of even a single moment on this earth, and that every breath in life is an absolute gift. And remind us that we're only promised the very moment we live in, and it's fleeting, and that we need to be present in it, and we need to give our absolute most to it, and be intentional about serving and honoring you, and to be able to look around to those in our lives who are shining a light for us, and to be grateful and to say, I see something special in that person. I'm grateful, and I want what he has. I want to know how to live that way, and I want to be of service too. And so we thank you for all of the amazing work and service that Bulldog did on the lives that he touched. And we thank you for the time he had here. Albeit that seems short to us, it is far more than any of us could ask for or deserve, God. And so we give you, pray for his family during his time, and everybody that's impacted, Lord, and that you would lift them up. And we give you all the praise, honor, and glory in your holy name. Amen. And so just thankful for the opportunity to speak and remember Bulldog, and pray for his family during this time. And we'll be able to have a good laugh thinking about him picking on me, and not understanding still what it means to buy you books and you tear the pages out and eat the covers. But hey, I miss you, Bulldog. Appreciate all you did. Rest in peace.